It's the privilege to never be held accountable by how you treat black people. That's the first of all white privileges.
So, before I'm going to touch back real quick, with the Derrick Jaxn situation, I agree to a certain extent. However, I just think the whole it even being on social media thing is just like every day he's on there preaching about, you know, what guys need to do better. But it's like he's preaching, is it because he was actually doing those things himself? You know, it takes one to know one, you know?
Oh, he was a hypocrite.
You know, it's like, we don't have no, okay, so we agree that
he was
absolutely a hypocrite.
That ain't the issue.
So,
he was dead wrong.
Okay,
that
and then
not my problem.
Also for me, it was like people focusing on the wife, like in the light of why she wearing the bonnet. It's like y'all
That's
totally,
a strong woman.
You know,
That's
it's like, and they're attacking her for how she looks. It doesn't matter if she was Beyonce. Because Beyonce got cheated on.
First of all,
you know,
her
that
body,
was my thing.
Let me tell you again. I'm always looking at things from the eyes of psychology. What I got from her in that outfit with the bonnet, what went over everybody's head, she dressed like that on purpose. There was a nonverbal message that she was communicating to anybody watching the video. And the nonverbal message was simply, I'm not buying this shit.
Okay.
See, if she would have got dressed up, then that would have communicated, I'm behind him, I'm backing this story, I believe everything he said. But the fact she came down to the living room in her pajamas was letting us know, don't fall for this because I'm not falling for this. Okay. So I had no problem with the way she dressed. Right. That was a message to us that I am not invested in the message he about to give y'all. We totally missed the point of the bonnet. The bonnet means I'm not connected. Okay. That was the bonnet's message.
Got you. I feel you on that, for sure. How are we on time? So we still running on the other audio? Okay, yeah, just let me know. And then
here's another conversation. And he's wrong. He's dead wrong. I'm not worried about him lying to the world. Because 99% of the people on YouTube lie to the world. 99% of celebrities lie to the world. I'm not concerned about his lies on YouTube. We want to be entertained. And the Negroes on the YouTubian universe don't care about truth. They care about likes and views. They care about being entertained. You understand me? So they don't care if he told the truth or not. The issue is whether or not it's entertaining. So the YouTubian community does not function on truth. The YouTubian community functions on entertainment. You understand? So I could care less about whether he lied to the YouTube world. That ain't the point. He lied to his wife. Period. And now she has to suffer the repercussions of the dysfunctional YouTubian community. See, social network is the devil. It is absolutely the devil, and social network is one of the best examples we have to show you how dysfunctional and self-hating Black America is. And listen, social network is everybody their own media platform. 50 years ago, you had to go through a filter. Right. 50 years ago, you couldn't say it unless you could verify it. Right. 50 years ago, you had to go through the 5 major media companies to put anything out there. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, it changed the game. Now everybody has a media platform. And look what we do. Go through YouTube. How many channels do you see are really dedicated to a good conversation about something relevant? How many channels do you see are focused on any of the core problems of Black America? The miseducation, the mass incarceration, the gentrification, the access to wealth, the police genocide. There's channels out there.
It's a few.
There's a few. But compared to everything else, you would not think that Black America was in a state of emergency if you look at YouTube. You got people, the whole channel is dedicated to gossip. The whole channel dedicated to slander. The whole channel dedicated to reality TV. The whole channel dedicated to sports. We are in a state of emergency fighting for the survival of our community, and we want to spend all day long talking about one man's infidelity when half of all Americans cheat on their spouse. That does not make it acceptable. But it simply says we got bigger fish to fry than that. But it begs forth another question that has to be handled. I'm going to introduce this, even though it's controversial, because it got to be discussed. Speaking as a psychologist, being brutally honest with you, I think one of our greatest dysfunctions when it comes to the black family right now, in this generation, the millennials and the young ones and the ones over that, is you have this belief, not you, we, that alpha males are monogamous. Alpha males are not monogamous.
That word, alpha male.
Stay with me. Listen, and I'm not giving Derrick Jaxn no excuse because he cheated.
So he alpha male?
I would consider him an alpha. He is the type of male that a lot of women will want to date. And guess what? This whole situation he went through, it will mean nothing. There will be more women waiting for him when it's over. I did a video a couple days ago when I said to Derrick Jaxn's wife, if you want to leave your husband for your own reasons, that's your business. You don't leave your husband for what other women want to say about him. Because them same women, same women telling you to leave Derrick Jaxn will be in his bed tomorrow. You understand? Here's the point that I'm trying to make. There's millions of black men out there who will be loyal to our sisters, you understand, and faithful. But they're the beta males. Alpha males by nature are not monogamous. The man that every black woman wants, they are not monogamous. You understand? And that is a conversation that has never been honestly had. It doesn't mean you can't find a good man. It means you need to revisit your interest in having an alpha. Those men historically, of any race, we're talking about us obviously, but look at the alpha male in any community. White, Chinese, Arab, Latino, Mexican, alpha males do not do monogamy. And I think alpha males need to stop lying. Let me give you an example. I'm going to have 2 queens. I've made that clear. It's no need for a woman to even try to get with me if she don't understand she's going to have a sister wife. I'm not going to lie to my wives. Do you understand? I'm going to be honest. You're going to know coming in that I'm going to have to. Ain't no lies. I'm not playing no lies with my queen. Derrick Jaxn should have done the same thing. Derrick Jaxn is not monogamous. I'm not sure if he ever can be. You understand? And he should have been honest with his wife going into it. Here's a big problem. Black men are not giving black women an opportunity to choose. If you and I are dating, I need to tell you, listen, you're not going to be the only one. And I need to be honest with you about how many others there will be. So for Dr. Umar, I have 2. That's it. You understand? Another man might want 3. Another man might want 4. And he might not want those other women consistently during the marriage. Some men are serial polygamists. You know what that means? That means that co-wife is never the same person from year to year. In other words, the first year of our marriage, she's the co-wife. The second year of our marriage, she's the co-wife. You have men who have a high need for variety. They know this about themselves. But because they want you to be the primary woman, they don't tell you the truth. I think that's what happened with Brother Derrick Jaxn. His wife is a very traditional, laid back. She's not a hot girl. You understand?
She's a beta. You would say she's
I would say she's a beta. I would say she's a traditional black woman. Raised well, homegrown, into the church, love her man, love her family, love her children. She's beautiful. She was the perfect catch for Derrick Jaxn. But because she was so perfect as a woman to hold him down and help him lay his foundation, he misled her about his true intentions. You see, when you look at her, I can see why he chose her. Because she's everything you need minus the drama. But he lied to her. You understand? And my biggest issue with him, you should not have misled your wife about being a monogamous when you know you're not. And we got too many men misleading women, making them think that they're monogamous and they are not. That's where the problem comes in.
Wow, so many things. I have so many things I want to say, but it's like, I'm trying to catch all my thoughts. Well, I don't want to spend too much time on this. How are we doing on time? We on the live feed. All right, so we are here today not to get away from the point of the matter. Black Parent Advocate, the newest book Dr. Umar is putting out. And now people on the IG Live just got a behind the scenes conversation. So lucky y'all. We're going to get into this book. So I started reading the book. I just got it like a week ago. I was with you when I got it. And so I love seeing the softness of how you feel about your mother. That was a side to me that I've never witnessed before.
What was that?
When you were writing an open letter to your mom.
Okay.
And I said, who's Jermaine?
That's my birthday.
I said, who's Jermaine?
My mother, I was born Jermaine Shoemake. Because my mother's surname is Shoemake.
Okay.
So I was Jermaine Shoemake.
Oh, not Johnson. So
no, Johnson comes later. My father was Johnson.
Oh, my family's a Johnson. So.
We could be related.
Okay.
So when my parents married, I was about 7 or 8 years old. Mm-hmm. As part of that arrangement, my father legally changed my name from Jermaine Shoemake to Umar Johnson. And then we relocated to North Carolina, which was easy on me dealing with a new name because everyone in North Carolina would meet me as Umar Johnson.
Okay.
But back in Philadelphia, I was still Jermaine for a while and still am to some people. You understand? But my biggest issue with the name change is my father did something to my original birth certificate. And so, in spiritual circles, it's often good to know the time of your birth. Mm-hmm. But because he destroyed my original birth certificate, I no longer know the original time of my birth. So that has been a problem.
Okay. So just reading and opening the book, you just go right into the sample letters, and I love that. And there was a few things just skimming through. I didn't know you could get a second. It looks like you could get second. The books. It was saying about textbooks. Like you can get a second
set of books. If the child is in special ed, if they have an IEP, the parent can make the argument that my child needs a second set of books to come home with them because they can't possibly practice and get the homework done without the text in front of them. But even for regular ed students, the parents can organize. See, what a special ed parent can do by herself, regular ed parents can do as a group. In other words, if your son is in special ed, you don't need in her. You're going to call an IEP meeting and say, as a condition of my disabled child's education, he needs a second set of books. But if all three of us got children in regular ed, we can form a committee, meet with the principal, and demand that our children come home with the books. See, this is not sending kids home with the books. That's only a ghetto thing, You can't find me a white school in the suburbs. You can't find me a school where the children don't take their books home. That is a ghetto policy. It is disrespectful, and it clearly sends a message that neither the child nor the parent values the education. Because how are you expecting me to practice and improve, and I don't even have use of the book? And we have allowed it to go on. It's been about 20 years now of children coming home without the books, and we can't blame nobody but ourselves because we are so complacent. One thing that slavery did to the Negro psyche, slavery made us comfortable being treated like dogs. Slavery made us comfortable being treated like dogs, and we have to get out of that comatose that has us believing white people have some sort of decree from God Almighty to treat black people any kind of way they want to.
And another thing I saw, you were writing a letter about, it looked like disciplining children. Like, I guess if your child is being reprimanded for, I guess, hitting another student or something, that was another. Did you want to touch base on that? Because as a substitute teacher myself, I feel like there is pressure from, administration and things like that, especially when it comes
to do what?
To the first thing they want to do is be suspending you, or that's the threat. That's I'm a substitute teacher, so it's like that's the first go-to is always that.
And it's not effective.
Right.
Out of school suspension grew out of early American agriculture, where every other white family had a farm or worked on one. Mm-hmm. So the idea was, if you were suspended from school for 5 days, guess what you were doing for 5 days? Out there reaping the crops, planting the crops, plowing the field. Nobody wanted to get suspended from school. Right. Because you had to do back greatly work with your father in the field. But school has evolved since then. America is no longer predominantly an agrarian society, so out-of-school suspension don't work. So why do they still use it? Because it gives teachers a break from black children they don't want to be bothered with anyway. It is an absolute crime that most black children in America are being taught by people who could care less as to whether they succeeded or not in life. And I don't care if they go to Lower Merion High School, which is one of the richest school districts in America. I don't care if they're in the school district of Philadelphia. I don't care if they're at an independent white school or a Catholic school. The bottom line is 99% of all black kids in America, whether they're rich or poor, is being taught by a white person or a non-African, Chinese, Mexican, Latino, you name it, who has no vested interest in their success. That is a crime. Educating children is so important that the person educating them must be a stakeholder in that success.
Right.
They must be a stakeholder in that success. And black children are taught by people who are not only not stakeholders, but can care less about whether they learned or not, and are often the leading proponent to get them expelled, medicated, or juvenile adjudicated.
Right.
The school is the leading referral source for new juvenile justice arrests and complaints. In other words, a black boy is more likely to get arrested in school than in the street. It's the teacher who is sending the black boy through the criminal justice system already before he even graduates from high school.
I'm just reading some of the comments talking about teachers. It was a section here that also said about checking to see if a teacher is certified or not. And even as a substitute, I've been trying to get certified. It seems like they give you a stipulation where you have to have a certain grade GPA in most of these certification programs. Do you have any certification programs you recommend?
They're all largely the same, but I would recommend go through an HBCU. You feel me? Cheney, Lincoln, see if they got certification program. Dell State, Maryland, Eastern Shore, Howard, I recommend those. Because what the white folks are doing to keep us out, and they do this across profession, but especially in education. And the reason why they're so aggressive with it in education is because public education is the white woman's go-to career. You follow me? If you're a white woman and you just looking for something that you can eat on forever, good retirement, good benefits, more vacation days than any other professional, right?
I'm not gonna lie, that's why I became a teacher, because I want my summers to myself. I ain't gonna hold you.
You're supposed to become a teacher to help the kids.
That too. But I need my
But that's why they become teachers.
Yeah.
You see, and so no matter what other career their husband has, he's on their insurance. You see what I'm saying? So public education is a white woman's empire, and they guard it by keeping black women and others out. It's no coincidence that we now have a national shortage of black female teachers. What are we doing with a national shortage of black female teachers? I'll tell you what we're doing with it. Number one, last hired, first fired. Number two, given the toughest jobs and always overlooked for promotion, right? A black woman could have been in the classroom for 20 years. Certified principal, never gets picked to run the school. White girl been there 2 years, can barely teach. She already got her own school. You see? So a lot of black women, they love our kids, but they get burned out. They keep you in the classroom forever and never promote you. You go downtown to 440, all them young white folks in there, they don't know nothing about our kids. They got them jobs because of their connections with white folk. And the third thing is these teacher examinations that they're using. This praxis, it ain't nothing but racism and apartheid. And they use them test scores to systemically keep us out. Just like you said, they look at your GPA.
And this wasn't my career path. So I studied communications, NBC, I was an intern at a few TV stations and did some radio internships and record label internships. So I started a nonprofit. So then that became my passion, and it's like teaching is just another branch of what I'm doing in my nonprofit. So it was like, it wasn't my career path. So my GPA, when I was done school, I said, I'm done, and I wasn't thinking about my GPA for a certification program. So that was I don't know, a lot of people may be in that situation too. Yeah. So definitely going through an HBCU is what you would recommend.
Yeah. And keep in mind, they didn't decide on the policy before they looked at black people's QPAs. They decided on a policy after they looked at black people's QPAs. In other words, what can we do to cut down on the number of black women trying to become teachers? Black men. When I was at Millersville University 20 years ago, I was a psychology major. I was president of the Black Student Union. I influenced a lot of other students to get into psychology to help us fix our people's minds. So guess what they did? To cut down on the amount of black students who would cross over from their major to psychology, they upped the GPA. You see, I think it was like 3.0. They made it like a 3.5. Right. What can we do to keep the Negroes out? And so the test score is now the new Jim Crow sign. Just like you used to have a sign that say no blacks, they don't use the words. They use numbers now. So now they say 3.75 only, 1,600 on the SAT. You got to have at least a 19 on your ACT. They use the numbers. They look at how black people score, and then they set the bar just above where you score to make sure some of you creep in, but most of you are kept out. And we need to start fighting against the test. And the reason we're not fighting against the test is because a lot of our black politicians are too afraid to charge and accuse white people of racism. Another genius chess move on the part of white folks, they have made black people feel uncomfortable accusing them of racism. Whenever you accuse white people of racism, you're playing the race card. You understand? As if every card ain't the race card. What was slavery? Wasn't that the race card? Jim Crow, police genocide, miseducation, mass incarceration. Show me one aspect of American society that's not ruled by race. It has to be ruled by race because white people are a numerical minority globally, and they're quickly becoming one in their own country. So if you do not focus on race, if you do not focus on white privilege as a white person, then you're undermining your advantages. So they're always looking at how many black people are involved. They're always looking at how many of us get an opportunity. There has never been in America, not one day in 400 years, where they haven't sat around a table and decided how much of a better job can we do keeping black people from getting opportunities.
Absolutely. I know someone who took the praxis about 6 times.
And can't pass it. But the white girl take it one time, she'll pass it. And how about the black girl who failed the praxis, might have tutored 5 or 6 white girls, and 4 to 6 white girls she tutored passed it, but the tutor never passed the test. You know why? We're not in the rooms when they score the test. How do you know you failed it? How do you know you failed it? Because a white person sent you a letter in the mail and says you failed it. If you think white folks are going to be honest, if you think white folks are going to be honest about black people's test scores, when jobs are at stake, resources are at stake, political control is at stake, you're out of your mind. If they can lie and tell you you're not even a human being, what the hell you think they'll do with some votes in a closed room or some test scores in a closed room? It's the same thing with elections. Black people actually think these white folks count the votes. You really think they counting these votes? Oh, that was a close run. Wasn't no damn close run. You won. But you ain't got nobody in that room with the guts to come out and say you won. I'll give y'all an example. The Breonna Taylor case. The Attorney General for Kentucky, a coon with a white girl, he had a grand jury. He basically shafted the whole grand jury process. Didn't give them all the evidence. Didn't tell them that there was 6 potential murder charges that they could have brought forth for the cops who shot our sister Breonna Taylor. Guess what? We never knew until one of the jurors went public and one of the jurors petitioned the courts to release the transcripts of the grand jury. In other words, somebody was in the private room and decided to tell. Are you following me? Right. We need somebody who's back there counting the votes to decide to tell. We need somebody back there when they scoring these teacher praxis exams who decided to tell. We need spooks by the door. The problem is we ain't got too many spooks by the door because most of our people act like they infiltrating the system on our behalf when they end up getting flipped by the system used against us.
Absolutely.
Very few Negroes who go into the system come out loyal to black folks.
I'm glad you brought that point up because I'm thinking about today, I don't know if you heard the defense said about George Floyd.
What they say?
Basically saying that he was on all types of meth and He had another type of pill, perks, and all this in his system. In his system, that he swallowed it to try to hide it because when the cops came. So that was the overdose was his. So my thing is, how do we know for sure? Like you're saying, what they're saying, if that's true, you don't. You know. So I'm glad you just brought that point up because that's where I was about to lead into. So this is 2021, 2020. We already know it was a very challenging year, but I'm kind of glad those things that happened, not glad, but I feel like as a society, I guess you could say a third eye is opening in a sense. And we're kind of, things that we already know exist. Some people that don't, they're finally realizing these things exist. As far as racism and we got now Asians are being attacked. Well, they're saying they've always been attacked. What is your take now on this movement?
Let's talk about the Asian invasion of the Black agenda. Every president in American history since Dr. King's assassination, April the 4th, 1968, so next week, 78, 88, 98, 08, 18, 19, 20, 21. 53 years. Every president since Lyndon Baines Johnson has had to select a non-Black minority issue that they would cater to and that they would project to distract away from the Black agenda being the primary non-white issue in America. Dr. King was a media genius because Dr. King was able to keep the Black agenda on the forefront of the TV. Every night you turned on the TV, the Black agenda was there. That's why they let the water hose get blown. That's why they let the dogs bite us up. That's why they didn't use violence, because Dr. King knew he had to master the message from the media. So after Dr. King used the media against white supremacy, he may have been the only Black leader who was ever strategic enough to use the media against his own system. They said, we can't let this happen again. So every president since LBJ has had to choose a minority issue that they would cater to and publicize to make sure Black people's issues are never discussed. Barack Obama, LBGTQ. Every day you woke up, Obama was talking about LBGTQ. Donald Trump. Every day you woke up, he was talking about immigrants in the wall in Mexico. Joe Biden. Every day you wake up, he's talking about some new transgender rights and transgender discrimination. But now with the Asian invasion, Joe Biden has a second minority issue. So not only does he have the transgender thing that he's catering to, now he got the Asians. Now, they're talking about violence against Asians. First of all, wrong is wrong. No matter who does it, no matter who the victim is. When those 8 Asians was murdered in Atlanta, it was wrong. My heart go out to their family. That shouldn't have happened. But don't you dare use that and turn it into a political stunt to make it look like Asians are victimized in America by violence more than Black folks. We've been getting victimized for 4 centuries, and we've never gotten the type of attention that the Asian community got. A few days ago, President Biden signed an executive order against violence against Asians. He used his presidential privilege to sign an executive order against Asian Americans. Can I ask you a question? Where has been the executive order against violence against Black people? Where has been the executive order against police genocide? Where has been the executive order against all these lynchings and all these hate crimes against Black folk? We've been here 4 centuries. We built the damn country. No executive order. One tragedy in the Asian community, they get an executive order. See right now how the white power structure is catering to another racist agenda above and beyond our own. It is an insult for them to cater to the Asian community like that and then try to argue that we participate in the systemic violence against Asians. If that's the case, if Black people don't like Asians, how the hell are they robbing us blind every day in America's ghettos? If black people don't like Asians, how in the hell are they selling record numbers of Chinese food every single day? If black people don't like Asians, how in the hell are they in control of a $30 billion hair care industry? If black people don't like Asians, why are there so many Asians in the black community? This is Joe Biden and his White House in the American power structure deflecting again. Why now? Because they want to take attention away from the George Floyd case. We're going to put the attention on violence against Asians so nobody pays attention to the George Floyd case. This is about making sure nobody's paying attention if they let Officer Derrick Chauvin off or if they give him a slap on the wrist conviction and sentencing. That's what this is about. We're going to distract from the fact we didn't do nothing about police brutality against black people yet. And we're going to put all the attention on the Asians so black people get no attention at all. And we buy into it. Negroes out there marching with the Asians. They're like, we march for the LGBTs. They're like, we march for the illegal immigrants. What you marching for them for? Ain't none of them ever fought for you. The Asian Americans ain't never stood up for black people. Never. And we run around standing up for them. The immigrants ain't never stood up for black people, but we run around standing up for them. Negroes had better learn and learn soon that the only friend we got is each other. And we need to stop giving our energy to other people's fight when they don't fight for us.
Period. I'm with you on that one. We want to touch base. How much time we got?
3 minutes.
We got 3 minutes.
You want to? She got a cut? Or can she roll over?
Well, we
can do another hand.
Okay. Just lost my train of thought. I wanted to go over lastly to just kind of wrap. Okay,
what happened with Little Nas X? I'm still waiting because everybody posted.
Look, I didn't see it yet. I keep hearing about it, but our producer here today, Sharif, said what he said had happened was some demonic things going on. But as far as a commercial that came out and it had 666 on the sneakers.
So everybody likes to wear Air Max.
Okay.
Everybody know, I think they're 96 Air Max. Okay. And with the 96 Air Max, they're red and black, and blood is dripping on them, and 666 on them as well.